No person has the right to take the lives of others regardless of their place of residence. And when guilt is proven, criminals cling to their lives by all possible means. In different countries, such convicts are kept either in comfortable cells with air conditioning or in inhumane conditions with food limited to 1 portion of rice per day and dirty drinking water, which often causes cholera, hepatitis, and more. In the USA, the highest form of punishment is legal in 27 out of 50 states. Before the sentence is carried out, the inmate has the right to a last meal, a final statement, and a meeting with relatives or a spiritual advisor. The death penalty is applied for particularly brutal crimes, espionage, terrorism, and treason. Methods of execution include injection, the main method, the electric chair, nitrogen hypoxia, and the use of firearms. The criminal also has the right to appeal and have the case reviewed. In China, there is a strict fight against serious crimes, and the death penalty remains a key instrument in criminal law. This country ranks first in the world in such sentences, and the exact number of those sentenced is a state secret. A person may be sentenced to death by firearm or injection for violent crimes, drug trafficking, corruption, and treason. According to some human rights organizations, in 2015, more than 16,000 people were executed in China for corruption. Iran stands out for a high number of those sentenced, not only men but also women and even individuals under the age of 18. The conditions of detention for such prisoners are extremely poor, including limited access to medical care and pressure on inmates. Thus, in 2025, more than 1,000 prisoners were sentenced. The main methods of execution are hanging and firearms for blasphemy, unlawful acts against children, smuggling, taking the lives of others, drug trafficking, providing intimate services, treason, terrorism, and much more. In Saudi Arabia, a person may be sentenced to the death penalty not only for committing a serious crime, but also for religious and moral offenses such as witchcraft, adultery, and homosexuality. Convicts may be held in custody for several years, awaiting approval and execution of the sentence. Perhaps the main right of such prisoners is the right to appeal and seek pardon. The sentence is carried out publicly in squares using an Arabian sword. In 2025, 347 prisoners were executed. If in other prisons conditions are more or less humane, in Egypt those sentenced to death are held in cells without windows, lighting, ventilation, or bedding, and use a bucket instead of a toilet. The cell size is 1.5 by 2 meters. Prisoners are allowed 15 minutes of outdoor time per day. The quality of food is considered low and insufficient. The death penalty is imposed for serious intentional crimes, terrorism, and drug-related offenses. The sentence is carried out by hanging. In Indonesia, foreign nationals are often sentenced to death, for example from countries such as Australia, Brazil, and Nigeria. The main crimes are taking another person's life and drug trafficking. Most of those sentenced are under 24-hour surveillance, and access to a lawyer and family is significantly restricted compared to ordinary prisoners. Despite already issued sentences, in practice executions have not been carried out in Mauritania for more than 30 years. In 2014 to 2017, bloggers and writers were sentenced to the death penalty for blasphemy. Dangerous criminals are fed very poorly: corn porridge, ugali, beans, bread, and tea. Prisoners rarely go outside their cells and do not have the right to communicate with other inmates. Prisons have exhausting heat and lack medical care. The only country on the European continent where the death penalty is applied is Belarus. Relatives are not informed in advance about the date of execution, the body is not returned, and the burial place is kept secret. Outdoor walks are not predusmotrany, searches are conducted every day, and prisoners are forbidden to sit or lie on beds during the daytime. The main crimes are intentional killing, terrorism, and treason. Execution is carried out using firearms. Unlike the West, Iraq considers the death penalty as a main tool in the fight against crime and terrorism. Many human rights defenders point out that such sentences are often handed down, based on confessions obtained under torture and after rapid trials. Prisons are often overcrowded, which creates difficult sanitary conditions. As of the end of 2024, more than 8,000 people sentenced to death were held in Iraqi prisons. According to a sociological survey, in the very small country of Singapore, about 70% of respondents believe that it is precisely the presence of the death penalty that prevents crimes such as robbery, taking lives, and drug trafficking. If a criminal is sentenced to death, the conditions of detention are quite Spartan. Before the execution, the prisoner is asked to smile for a photograph, after which a noose is placed and the sentence is carried out at dawn, usually on Fridays. From 2000 to 2022, fewer than 100 people were sentenced to death in Japan, which indicates the rare use of this punishment. About 80% of the country's population supports retaining this measure and considers it fair. Sentences are mainly imposed for multiple killings of groups of people. Criminals do not know the exact date and time of execution by hanging. Sometimes on the day of execution, the prisoner may be offered sweets or fruits. In Thailand, the distribution or production of drugs guarantees the death penalty. Prisoners often sleep on a concrete floor, and a severe shortage of clean water and unsanitary conditions lead to the rapid spread of diseases such as cholera, hepatitis, and malaria. The diet is extremely poor, one portion of rice with vegetables per day. Until 2003, the main method of execution was killing by machine gun, but later injections began to be used. Hanging is the only legal method of the death penalty in Pakistan. Prisoners have the right to appeal and seek pardon, meet with relatives, are allowed to read books, smoke in cells, and that is where the advantages end. Conditions in the cells are crazy unhygienic, insufficient ventilation, shared toilets, lack of lighting. There is no medical care or clean drinking water in prisons. Currently, the number of people awaiting execution exceeds 8,000. The death penalty in Yemen is assigned to criminals for a wide range of offenses, from those of an intimate nature and blasphemy to espionage and treason. Some prisoners are held in solitary confinement for several months before sentencing, sometimes with blindfolds. Nevertheless, in Yemen there are cases of pardons for those sentenced to death, but this is rather an exception than a rule, depending on the position of the victim's relatives, human rights activists note. The only country in southern Africa where the death penalty by hanging is applied is Botswana. This punishment is mainly given for intentional taking of a person's life. The entire process from filing a pardon request to the burial of the body, which takes place on prison grounds without being returned to relatives, is hidden from the public. Relatives learn about the execution only after it has taken place and have no opportunity to say goodbye. Courts in Somalia are known for their swiftness. For example, in November 2023, a soldier was sentenced on the same day the verdict was delivered, without any opportunity to appeal. In addition, medieval methods of execution are widespread, so in some areas controlled by Islamist groups, people may be executed by stoning for adultery or espionage. The official method of execution is firearms. Actual executions in the UAE are extremely rare. For example, the victim's family may forgive the criminal in exchange for financial compensation. Those sentenced to death often live in solitary cells equipped with air conditioning. The exact number of sentenced criminals is unknown, but these are isolated cases. In India, the death penalty is a complex legal and social issue. It is applied in the rarest of rare cases. This means that the crime must be particularly brutal, cynical, or threaten national security. A prisoner can submit a mercy petition to the President of India. The executioner is considered a shameful profession and is often passed down by inheritance. The exact number of people sentenced to death in Vietnam is concealed by the authorities to maintain the image of a calm country. Most sentences are related to drug trafficking, economic fraud, and treason. In 2024, billionaire Truong My Lan was sentenced to death for fraud amounting to $12 billion. Since 2013, firearms have been replaced by injection for carrying out executions. A new UN human rights report on North Korea states that the authorities are increasingly applying the death penalty even to those found guilty of watching foreign TV series and films. Those sentenced to death are often held in conditions of strict isolation. In winter, there is no heating in the cell, and the temperature can drop below -20 degrees Celsius. There is also no ventilation or proper toilet. Executions are often carried out publicly near markets, schools, and sports grounds. Kuwait is a country where equality before the law is observed. The death penalty is applied to all categories of citizens, including foreign workers and even members of the ruling royal family. In 2017, Prince Faisal Al Abdullah was sentenced to death for taking the life of his nephew. A significant portion of prisoners are citizens of Egypt, the Philippines, India, Ethiopia, and other countries, which in turn causes diplomatic tensions. The death penalty in many countries around the world is introduced to punish and deter particularly serious crimes, ensuring justice. Due to an unstable and weak judicial system in South Sudan, questions often arise about the fairness of sentences. There are known cases where women were sentenced to death after retaliating against rapists in an attempt at self-defense. Prisoners are held in cells that are overcrowded by more than 200%, sleeping on the floor in cramped conditions. Due to a lack of water, those sentenced are forced to drink dirty or salty water, which causes various serious illnesses. The last death sentence in Russia was carried out in 1996. Currently, the highest form of punishment is life imprisonment. Black Dolphin is one of the strictest colonies in the country. Prisoners are under constant video surveillance 24/7. The lights in the cells are never turned off. Movement outside the cells is carried out in the swallow position, with the body bent forward and hands raised behind the back in handcuffs, and the eyes are covered with a blindfold so they cannot memorize the prison layout.